triggering every NFL fan base, AFC edition. Baltimore. Ray Lewis took a plea deal to rat on his friends to save his own ass. Where is the white suit, Ray? Speaking of famous Baltimore Ravens named Ray, how is Ray Rice doing? Remember when he knocked his wife out and you guys welcomed him back with open arms before the video and ensuing PR nightmare gave you no choice but to cut him? The past. Your current quarterback Lamar Jackson won MVP 2 years ago thanks to a gimmicky offense that's not sustainable. He can't read a defense and has more positive COVID tests than playoff wins. Your team is the anti-Falcons. You'll always have a good to great defense but no offense to support it. Joe Flacco's 2012 playoff run is proof the devil exists. Fuck Raheem Moore. Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills are such a disgraceful franchise that you can find ways to insult their fans of any age. For Bills fans old enough to remember the 90s, mentioning 4 straight Super Bowl losses and Scott Norwood missing wide right does the trick. For the Gen Z Bills fans, missing the playoffs 17 straight years and winning 0 playoff games for 24 years should suffice. You had to deal with the Pats dynasty for 2 decades, and now that that's over, you have to deal with Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen still has to prove that his 2020 season wasn't a fluke, and Cole Beasley is a blithering idiot wannabe rapper and says he won't get vaccinated because it's not God's will, yet will take shitloads of painkillers and get invasive surgery with no problem. God help us all. Cincinnati. As of this recording, the Bengals haven't won a playoff game since 1990, and I have zero doubt that's going to end anytime soon, as Joe Burrow was already mentally damaged from a serious knee injury as a rookie, in addition to having a noodle arm. Your current head coach Zach Taylor is so bad that 90% of NFL fans probably couldn't even pick him out of a lineup. Marvin Lewis somehow lasted 16 years despite winning 0 playoff games. Andy Dalton wasted some pretty solid squads in the early 2010s. Remember when former franchise quarterback Carson Palmer hated Cincinnati's cheap-ass owner Mike Brown so much he retired after just 8 years? Your team is more known for employing criminals than winning games. What is there to even do in Cincinnati besides eat a bunch of shitty Skyline chili? I mean, seriously, have you ever heard anybody say they want to go to Cincinnati? I haven't. Cleveland. After 30 years of suckitude, the Browns finally seem to be on the upswing, but I'm not buying it. You will never prosper again. Art Modell cucked your team so hard, and in the process of doing so, fired the best head coach in NFL history right as he was turning your team around. Odell Beckham Jr. hasn't been good since his boat trip in 2016. Myles Garrett could have killed a guy with his helmet on the field on national television, and now he's up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Nice PR spin, losers. The best player in team history is Jim Brown, who is an absolute piece of shit domestic abuser and also overrated since he played against off-duty firefighters, and his replacement, Leroy Kelly, stepped in and immediately made 3L Pro Team. Denver. Broncos fans in the state of Colorado believe John Elway to be God, even though he put up shitty numbers for most of his career. He didn't start producing like a Hall of Fame quarterback until he had a Hall of Fame running back, an elite offensive line, a Hall of Fame tight end, and great wide receivers around him all at the same time. Not to mention his 2 Super Bowl winning teams cheated the salary cap. Notice how I'm not even talking about the current Broncos, because the only time the Broncos have been relevant on a national level in the last 5 years was when Aaron Rodgers was reportedly getting traded there on draft night. If not for Peyton Manning's neck issues that forced him out of Indy, the Broncos would be going on almost 20 years of irrelevance. Well, to be fair, there was that entire Tebow Mania bullshit that ended with the team finishing 8-8 and getting mollywopped by 35 points in New England. Von Miller completely negated his legendary 2015 postseason by getting engaged to a strip. Fuck Colorado for being a marijuana hotbed. Houston. Congrats, Texans fans. Unless you win a Super Bowl, you will always be known as the team that employed the quarterback version of Bill Cosby. The player your franchise will ever have, J.J. Watt, was a cornball and tryhard who encapsulates everything MAGA voters want in an athlete. Watt is also who every middle-aged Texas housewife with a super white name like Deborah or Angie flicks their beans to in private. Your second best player ever, Andre Johnson, openly despises your team. If you were over the age of 30, born in Texas, and you root for the Texans over the Cowboys, you're almost certainly a hipster who gets off on being contrarian. Indianapolis. Remember, the only reason Indianapolis even has an NFL team is because your former owner snuck out of Baltimore at night like a coward. Your team was absolute dog shit for almost 2 decades until getting Peyton Manning, who was so great in the regular season that he tricked morons into thinking you were an elite franchise. As if having Peyton wasn't enough, you replaced him with Andrew Luck, who got destroyed so badly trying to carry the dog shit rosters built around him in his early years that he quit before turning 30. Sure, you guys had 1 year of the Phillip Rivers experience in 2020 to act as a band-aid, but now you will feel the full wrath of having a shitty quarterback. Carson Wentz is already hurt again, and even when he's healthy, all of his confidence has been destroyed since his team won the fucking Super Bowl without him in 2017. You drafted both John Elway and Peyton Manning, yet the two combined to win more rings with the Broncos than you. You're basically a glorified farm system for the Broncos. Tough scene. Jacksonville. When I think of Jacksonville, I think of geriatrics with saggy, sweaty skin slowly going into whirlpools at a retirement home. Seriously, seriously, who the fuck wanted an NFL team in Jacksonville? Ironically, the best years for the team came in their first 5 years when they made 2 conference championship games. In the 21st century, though, it's been almost nothing other than a run to the AFC Championship game in 2017. Of course, your stupid fucking franchise failed to do the world a favor by eliminating Tom Brady while there, as you gave up a 10-point fourth quarter lead. Currently, your team employs snake oil salesman Urban Meyer as head coach. Meyer has an ultra-rare medical condition where the status of his heart is directly correlated to how much money he makes. Your team will undoubtedly ruin Trevor Lawrence's career before it can even get off the ground. Lawrence seems like a good dude, but being asked to carry a 1-15 team with almost no talent is a tall task for even the best quarterbacks ever, let alone a rookie. Your mascot also looks like Chester Cheetah's gay cousin. Kansas City. After decades of playoff failure, fortune finally seems to be smiling on you, Chiefs fans. You've been blessed with a quarterback who is already a Hall of Famer before turning 26. As long as Mahomes is on your team, you will be relevant no matter who else is there. Even though Mahomes has only been starting for 3 years, you've already blown your chance of being a dynasty. Dee Ford lining up offsides in 2018 and massive injuries to the offensive line in 2020 destroyed any chance of that. Tyreek Hill is a piece of shit who choked a pregnant woman in college. But hey, he scores a lot of touchdowns, so you root for him. And then even worse, you find ways to ease your conscience about the fact that you root for him. Travis Kelce has no swag and will never be as good as Gronk was. Your fan base largely consists of morons who casually say thinly veiled racist shit like, I haven't watched the NBA since Larry Bird retired, or I like how Barry Sanders just handed the ball to the ref, no showboat. Jovan Belcher literally killed his family and then himself while playing for you, and everybody wants to pretend like it didn't happen. If not for Jimmy Garoppolo sucking, Mahomes still has 0 rings. Las Vegas. I'm amazed Raiders fans are as passionate as they are because your franchise has shown multiple times that they don't give a fuck about you. They moved from Oakland to LA, back to Oakland, and now to Las Vegas. Over the last 35 years, the Raiders have largely been a joke outside of 3 years in the early 2000s. In fact, one could argue the biggest moment in your team's history was the Tuck Rule, which helped launch the career of human cancer Tom Brady. Then, of course, there was the Super Bowl in 2002 where you got bent over by your former head coach. You have just one playoff appearance since 2003, a game in which you lost to Brock Osweiler. You were stuck in QB purgatory with Derek Carr, a guy who craps his pants in spectacular fashion whenever it seems like he's just on the cusp of finally breaking out. Your defense sucks, largely thanks to terrible drafting. John Gruden is still living off of his Super Bowl ring that he won with Tony Dungy's team against you, and he still has plenty of years left on his contract. Al Davis was an egotistical piece of shit, Ken Stabler doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, and if you're a grown-ass man who wears Raiders makeup to games, reevaluate your life. You won't be winning anything in the next 15 years with Mahomes in your division anyway. LA Chargers. There is so much low-hanging fruit when it comes to the Chargers, but to all 9 Chargers fans out there, let me assure you, I will not go for it. Ironically, you have one of the best histories in terms of quarterbacks, from Dan Fouts to Drew Brees to Phillip Rivers and now Justin Herbert. Herbert is a physical freak and a joy to watch, and I already know he has absolutely 0 chance of ever winning a Super Bowl as long as he's in a Chargers uniform. We already saw this in his rookie season, and it'll only get worse as the team finds even more ridiculous ways to lose games as he enters his prime. Much like the Raiders, you will have to deal with Mahomes for the next 15 years, drastically limiting your ceiling. You will never taste real success. In fact, since I started narrating this, half your team got put on IR for the season. Despite all of your talent, nobody is ever afraid to play against you because you're basically the AFC version of the Atlanta Falcons minus the 28-3 collapse. Congrats. Miami. Let's be real, Dolphins fans. Other than the miracle in Miami in 2018, you haven't been important in the 21st century. It says a lot about how shitty your franchise has been over the last 35 years that not even Dan Marino could win a ring with you. 20 years later, you're still looking for his successor, and your hopes currently reside on the left arm of Hawaiian Andy Dalton. I have serious doubts. Brian Flores could be a good coach one day, but I fear he's in the Rex Ryan tier of defensive gurus who have 0 idea about offense. Don Shula is remembered for the undefeated 1972 squad and the 1973 squad that repeated as Super Bowl champs, but overall he was an overrated compiler whose teams routinely shit themselves in big games outside of those 2 years. He largely wasted Dan Marino's career and went 22 straight years without a Super Bowl win to end his career. Nobody will ever take your team seriously until you have some semblance of respectability at quarterback, which you haven't had in the 21st century outside of 1 year of Chad Pennington before his shoulder exploded for the 94th time. New England. If I was making this video before Tom Brady left, my venom would be much higher, but herein lies the problem. Most quote-unquote Patriots fans have been exposed in the last year as nothing more than Tom Brady dick riders. I honestly don't have anything against true old-time Patriots fans who were there before Belichick and Brady showed up in 2000, but to all the Generation Z Pats fans who were spoiled beyond belief by the Patriots run from 2001 to 2019, fuck you. You are the sports equivalent of a a trust fund baby that never had to work for anything in your life. You did not deserve to be blessed with the most incredible run of dominance in NFL history. Every fan base has assholes, but you Boston fans stand out above them all in terms of douchebaggery. You are such douchebags you even coined the term masshole for it, and this is not a compliment or something to be proud of. Now you're hoping to find the next Brady and Mac Jones, but there will never be another Brady. And I don't mean this in terms of greatness or ability. I mean in terms of all the sheer luck and freak circumstances that Brady has benefited from in order to have the career that he's had. As long as Belichick is your coach, you will have a respectable record, but without Brady's magic horseshoe, your days of 12-win seasons are done. New York Jets. It's difficult to offend Jets fans since you get off on pain. You willingly come back every year to root for this horrific franchise that has done absolutely nothing since 1968. An overrated Joe Namath defense carried him to a Super Bowl win and guaranteed his spot in the Hall of Fame for him. The Jets are somewhat similar to the Vikings in that they usually have 1 or 2 years every decade where they make a deep playoff run, then revert to being completely irrelevant. You haven't made the playoffs in 10 years, and you sure as fuck aren't making it this year. Getting rid of Adam Gase and Sam Darnold were obvious moves, but you canceled that out by getting Xerxes from 300 as head coach, Jimmy Clausen as quarterback. Much like the Bears, it's illegal for the Jets to have a good quarterback, so I expect you to be looking for another quarterback in the first round in about 3 years, after Zach Wilson retires to run for governor of Utah on the GOP ticket. I also want to respectfully say his mom looks like she belongs in a MILF Hunters video. Sup, Lisa? Pittsburgh. Your quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, is a fat slob who is essentially Jameis Winston if Winston was actually good, and Ben hasn't even been good in at least 2 years. He's an obese checkdown merchant that throws ill-timed interceptions. Your best receiver since Antonio Brown left town is Juju Smith-Schuster, who means well but remains the most annoying player in the league. Defensively, you'll probably be good in the regular season again just to shit your pants in the playoffs. Mike Tomlin has won a lot of games and even a Super Bowl, and yet he still instills zero confidence that he'll make a good decision in a big spot. Your team lost a playoff game to Tim Tebow, which should have resulted in your franchise being audited by the league. Your fans are mostly boomers who constantly bitch about how things today aren't like they were in the 70s and how they wish Chuck Noll or Bill Cowher were still the head coach. The team will be in the hands of Mason Rudolph, who, unless he magically becomes elite, will always be most remembered for liking Tommy Loren's IG post and nearly being killed on the field by Myles Garrett with a helmet. Tennessee. For the first time since the Steve McNair era, the Titans are relevant, kind of. Ryan Tannehill magically going from being mid with Miami to posting historically awesome regular season stats in Tennessee remains one of the greatest mysteries ever. Notice I said regular season stats, as Tannehill has